Hi, it's Mark Graban. Welcome to a bonus episode of Lean Blog Interviews. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about an upcoming event. It is the ASQ Southwest Ohio 2025 conference on the theme of excellence through quality. So if you are in the Cincinnati area, the Dayton area, if you'd like to drive a little bit on a Saturday, it's going to be Saturday, November 8th, 2025 from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. in Mason, Ohio, which is not too far north of Cincinnati. So there will be a link for more information in the show notes, and we're going to talk. We're joined by CJ Kaufman. He is, among other things, the education chair for the ASQ Cincinnati section. CJ, how are you?
Good morning. Nice to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you again. I've come to a couple of the local ASQ Cincinnati events, and I'll look forward to seeing you and many others on Saturday the 8th. So if you would give us kind of an overview of, it's a busy morning, a lot of great speakers, and then we'll talk a little bit about my role and an optional afternoon activity.
Well, that was something that we're doing in tandem with the Dayton ASQ section, is putting on this half-day conference where it's an opportunity for quality people to come and receive just an amazing lineup of speakers and practical things that they can begin using the next week. We've also included breakfast and lunch, as well as an optional workshop in the afternoon by yourself, Mark. And also you're also doing the keynote speaking of the psychological safety, which is an important topic for all of us as we're looking at making changes, positive changes in our organizations that we're working in. But I'm excited about the different speakers. Several of them have a professional engineering background. Several of them are authors and have been really contributing to the process improvement, thought leadership space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really it's a mixed, varied lineup in terms of people's backgrounds and industries. So Deb Coviello is going to be speaking about leading quality. Deb is actually she's going to be a guest on the My Favorite Mistake podcast with me. We are recording that very shortly. We have a physician, Lou Flaspohler, will be speaking on the science of showing work the right way. Susan Marshall talking about quality management initiatives and the FDA's perspectives on the economic and public health return on investment. And a friend of mine from the Cincinnati area who I've met a number of times, Colleen Sapelsa, is going to be speaking about group intelligence in problem solving. So there's a really good theme, really good variety. I'm going to throw a question at you, CJ, before we talk about some of my topics. On that theme of excellence through quality, I'd be curious to hear your general thoughts on how quality really can be a strategy for excellence as an organization and a business.
No, I think that's a great perspective, because many times organizations are focused on business as usual, and a great deal of effort is just keeping the lights on. And then when you take an approach of that quality doesn't subtract, doesn't cost, then you're really focused on really advancing the organization and the company, reducing issues that you normally are firefighting on. And then long term, that really adds to your capacity of the team. So I found that out really through my experience, and also, noticing the impact that other people have had on the companies that they've worked for from a consulting aspect.
It's fair to say, ASQ as a society and members in ASQ would reject the idea, if a company or leaders were to say, well, we can't afford better quality. That's not really the right way to look at it, right?
No, not at all. Quality is just the foundational aspects of really what a company can provide to their customers as well as the internal employees. Certainly, there can be an maybe emphasis on cutting costs or when you're implementing some sort of a process improvement, but I think of it more as a holistic approach than necessarily focus on just that one leg necessarily of a process improvement effort.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's two sides of the same coin. When we improve processes and systems, better quality and lower costs go hand in hand. When we do it right the first time, not just as a cheesy slogan, but when we actually have systems that include equipment and people and technologies and communication that allow us to do things the first time, we're probably preaching to the choir in this podcast, but maybe there's a good opportunity for someone to invite a colleague or a friend to come to the event, and maybe it can open some eyes.
And I think that's really the focus that we've taken with the Cincinnati section is what kind of tools, what kind of encouragement can we provide members to help them be successful? Because all of us are really aligned. We're very much, it's part of our career to be process focused. How could we advance the company that we're in? Sometimes, though, just based on our experience and based on where we're at, we come across challenges that we just need some, additional help with. And that's what we're doing here with bringing all these speakers together.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm excited to learn from the others. And, as you had mentioned, I'm going to be speaking about psychological safety. We could frame that as a foundation for quality improvement, as a foundation for operational excellence, as a foundation for lean. Some of the stories and examples I think of, or 30 years ago, early in my career at General Motors, of getting punished for speaking up about quality problems, quality risks, being out of sync with a culture that quite often was trying to put quantity before quality. And when you get punished for speaking up, people for the most part learn to stop speaking up, and then we can't reduce defects that people feel pressured into hiding or covering up or blaming others for. And so in a nutshell, and I'll elaborate on this in the talk, psychological safety just basically means how safe do you feel speaking up about anything, pointing out a problem, admitting a mistake, sharing an idea, testing a quality improvement idea. We want environments where people feel safe to speak up. That doesn't mean we all magically agree, but as I think anyone who's done quality improvement work, there may be times we disagree, and we want to invite that and look at data and look at our experiments. If we have two varying opinions about which approach is going to reduce defects more, let's test them. Let's let the best idea win instead of the most powerful person's idea winning. So so hopefully what I'm going to share is going to be relevant whether people are using lean frameworks or not. I think hopefully people would agree we're better off when more people are speaking up candidly and openly, and we'll work through any of the disagreement that comes up. So I'll be talking about some practical things that we can do as leaders or peer-to-peer colleagues to help people feel rewarded for speaking up.
And I think when I was thinking about the psychological safety, a big part of it's driving out fear.
Yes.
And when you have a fear of actually speaking up, and I wouldn't say speaking out, but sharing your perspective, that really does not benefit the company for people to be quiet. Mm-hmm. But like you mentioned, that there are different cultures and different organizations that have different levels of, safety where a person can share. And so, I'm looking forward to, the information that you'll present on that, because that will help us frame how we can interact with other people, because we're always going to come across different social styles of people that have different ways of communicating, and how can we best support people as they go about their day-to-day activities.
Yeah, I think that's well said. It's as you put it, it's a matter of how safe do you feel? It's not a binary, safe, unsafe, any more than quality is binary of, well,
Right.
perfect quality, good quality, or bad quality. There are degrees, and we want people to feel more safe, if not perfectly safe. And you talk about driving out fear. So I'm going to connect things back to W. Edwards Deming. And the afternoon session, 2-hour workshop. It's an optional separate registration after the networking lunch for those who would like to stay. So I will be facilitating my version. I don't think it varies wildly from Dr. Deming's version of the classic red bead experiment or the red bead game. I have some framing, around it that I think makes it, fun and engaging, but teaches the classic lessons in a very experiential way about some of the things leaders do to try to, admonish people into better quality, through slogans and other things that Dr. Deming warned against and decried. And then, from the red bead experiment, we generate defect data. So beyond the qualitative discussion of the things managers sometimes do in their attempt to improve quality, this will also serve either as an introduction or a refresher course around process behavior charts, which is statistician Donald Wheeler's terminology for control charts, the XMR chart methodology, so that we can start learning to distinguish between signal and noise, not just applying control charts to dimensional manufacturing part measurements, the size of a hole, but to apply that same thinking and that same thought process to our performance metrics, whether that's quality performance over time, basically any time series data that we measure and present and talk about in an organization. I've learned the process behavior chart methodology. I think it's the best framework for looking at metrics, and I think a 2-hour workshop gives a good introduction to all those topics. Now, CJ, that's something you've played, and I'm guessing.
No, I have not. So I'm actually looking forward to it, and I might egg people on because many people think that processes are set up for their success. And so many times when I've gone into problem solving, one of the first things that I hear is from a solution or countermeasure is, well, there's more training that needs to be done. But people really need to question whether the process actually is set up for success. Maybe it's not, and they just don't realize it. They're thinking it is. And then once you map things out, you realize, wow, maybe we could restructure this to have a better outcome.
Yeah. Because when you have a bad process, people often find workarounds. It may or may not make things better, but they're doing their best. And again, there might be that fear of raising an idea publicly to a manager or a team. So they're doing things differently, and then a manager might discover that and chastise the person for not following the process, as if greater adherence to a bad process would lead to better results. We need to try to turn workarounds or attempted improvement into real improvement, and that starts with people feeling safe speaking up. I think it's also followed with some statistical methods that we can all learn and use. So maybe you'll be a willing worker in.
I am definitely interested in doing that.
Okay. Well, put your hand up first or stand up first, CJ.
That's right.
I'll call on you, and you can be part of that. So I hope people who are listening or watching will come join us if you are anywhere near Cincinnati and or Dayton, Central Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana. If you want to get up and drive early or come in on Friday night, it starts at 8 o'clock Saturday morning. Again, November 8th, Mason, Ohio. The main day runs from 8 a.m. to 1, which includes a networking lunch in addition to a networking breakfast, great speakers, networking lunch. And then I hope people will stay between 1 and 3 for the Red Bead game. And again, look in the show notes for a link to the event and more information about how to register. So, CJ, thanks for getting together and having a chat.
Thank you.
Back and forth about the event, and thank you for your role in organizing it. Shout out to William Harvey and everybody else who's involved. So again, thanks, CJ.
Thank you, Mark. Great to be here.
Thanks for listening. This has been the Lean Blog Podcast. For Lean news and commentary updated daily, visit www.leanblog.org. If you have any questions or comments about this podcast, email Mark at leanpodcast@gmail.com.